Let's go.
Hey, hey, hey. Check, check, check. What's up, y'all? What's up? Y'all know that. What's up, ladies?
What's up?
What's up?
Fellas. Oh,
Y'all know about that. What's up, y'all? It's Patrice Stokes, your host of Inspired on Purpose, presents Therapy on the Mic. It is Therapy Thursdays, y'all. Woo! We're back in the scene. Man, it's so much has happened. I feel like since the last time that we talked, but I'm particularly excited because, we're still in July, which is my birthday month. And for those who have sent out any messages and text messages, social media posts, thank you so much for the birthday wishes. My birthday was officially on Monday, so I'm really excited. I'm still celebrating all month long. Even got some free food today because
and as a matter of fact, we're going to say happy birthday right now.
oh,
Happy birthday to
I'll take
you.
it.
Happy birthday to you.
Hey, hey.
Happy birthday, dear Patrice.
Yeah, yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Yay.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you, babe. I appreciate it. Y'all can't see him, but you can hear him. You can't see me, but you can feel me. So, but yeah, nah, I'm excited because it definitely, like I said, it was a really sweet birthday. I just got to rest because for those that were able to go to the Indiana Black Expo, I was so excited to be a vendor at the Indiana Black Expo exhibit hall. Is he played Theo on the Cosby Show, and so he was not only huge in that space, but he was also an actor on so many different series, so many different shows and movies.
Malcolm and Eddie.
Malcolm and Eddie, for those who know about the '90s, was it? Did it come out in the '90s or 2000s?
It was the 90s still.
It was the '90s. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So
The
that the
Residents.
resident. So yeah, he played a doctor on there, and there's like it's so much. But the thing that I really want to focus on today, and why I'm dedicating this to him, is because he was also a poet. And I was just looking at some videos recently that I was like, wow, I did not know. But more than anything, he was such a gentle soul. That was something that a lot of people said. He was an upstanding man. And when I think about what we're going to talk about tonight, as we are continuing the theme for July, this is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. That is something that is nationally recognized. But this month, what we are focusing on Therapy on the Mic, is creative healing. And so the topic for tonight is creative healing in every culture, building wellness from the inside out. And that's one of the things. If you see me swatting this, because this little bug just doesn't want to like leave. It's like the light is on, and this bug has to steal the show. So, anywho, but I'm saying all that to say that I'm really excited about tonight's topic. And for those of you that are new to this, Yeah, welcome. Welcome to Therapy Thursdays with Therapy on the Mic, where we speak on the power of mental wellness, healing, gratitude, purpose driven living. I am your host, Patrice Stokes. I'm a licensed therapist, poet, speaker, photographer, founder, and CEO of Inspired on Purpose, and the author of Gratitude is Always in Season, which I'm grateful to say that I sold out of my books at the Indiana Black Expo. So thank you all for coming by my booth. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming by my booth, for buying my book. For I was dope, being able to take pictures and video, and I'm gonna share a lot of that stuff later on social media, so you can check it out. But really, really, it was just like I said, it was overall a blessing just to be in that space, to be able to share, and really, it felt like a reunion. I don't know about y'all, but anytime I do the Indiana Black Expo, I can remember from a child when I would go with my family. And at the time when we had the free concert, it's not free anymore, but when it was the free concert, we would like military, we would set up shop and take turns. We'd have shifts and we'd go down to military park, and we would camp out there like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because we wanted to get the best spots. And I mean, we had family, uncles, aunts, cousins, friends, people, we just had a good spot, and people would just come out there. And like I said, it was really fun because we all got a chance to get together, enjoy each other's company. But more than anything, it was just, like I said, it felt like a reunion. And that's what the Indiana Black together with with her business, Don't Stop Living Wellness, as well as with mine, Inspired on Purpose, to put together this program called Building with Purpose, Mind, Body, and Soul. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but you will find that information on my website. And also, you can sign up for a free virtual informational where we're going to talk more about that, how you can join the 6 week challenge program, and all the other good stuff that comes along with it. So, I just want to again give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors. We'll be shouting them out throughout the night, but also just thanking you for making it possible for us to be able to do the work that we do. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. So we definitely want to give a huge shout out to you. And if you are interested, or if you love what we do, if you want to support what we do, you want to help us continue to create safe spaces for healing, for therapy, and for creativity, please check out our Donate Plus Sponsorship tab on my website, www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com, where you can find out more information about how to become a sponsor, where we will also not only promote you on the podcast and the live stream like we're doing right now, because we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and you can find us on those platforms under Inspired on Purpose. But we're also on my husband's radio station, Speak On It Radio, and you can get to that. Yep, yep. You can get to that from my website. When you go there, you can go click on where it says Podcast Plus Resources tab, and you can get to the radio station from there, or you can go to his website, which is what, baby?
the speaker box. So it's DASPEAKABOXX.com. DASPEAKABOXX.com.
And I'm gonna let him put that in the chat. So if you are listening to this and you're like, wait a minute, okay, wait, you can also get to it from there. And he's got some really dope things coming up too that we're gonna talk about, that you can be a part of as well, coming up very soon. So we'll have opportunity to talk a little bit about that tonight. With all that said, I just want to see who's in the building. If you are listening to us on the live stream, wherever that may be, please feel free to put in the chat. Now, we definitely, I could talk all night long, but I want to make sure that we are chatting with you because that's why this is interactive, it's live. You know, this is an opportunity for us to get not just great information and insight, but for you to ask questions. For those of you, again, that don't know, I'm a licensed therapist, also a poet and a photographer, but I use all of my gifts to inspire people on purpose and with purpose. And so, if you have considered, or maybe you're kind of on the fence about getting therapy, that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. But we're also going to talk about the importance of what mental health and mental wellness looks like. How do we attain it when we are on the fence because of some of the things that life has thrown at us? Because when I think about the death of Malcolm Warner, one of the things that comes to my mind is just realizing how short life is. When I looked, I believe his birthday was August 18th, so he would have been in just literally a few weeks 55 years old, y'all. I turned 44. And when I think about, not trying to be morbid, but just really thinking about the magnitude of how life really is like a vapor. And I was watching this video where it was kind of like morphing his life from 54 all the way down to like when he was a child. And the song that was playing in the background was Janet Jackson's Funny How Time Flies When You're Having Fun. And that song, for some reason, has like this interesting space in my heart when I hear it. But it's beautiful, especially like when I looked at this video, and I'll probably post it in on my social media platforms so that you can get to it. But one of the things that I thought about as I was looking at all the accolades that he's had, from a child star all the way to an adult, and now he was a father, a husband, and the fact that he lived his life on purpose. And that's one of the things that I really want us to strive for in our life, is that knowing that tomorrow's not promised. And a lot of times when we're living this life, we live it thinking that we have time, and we have no idea how much time we have. And that's one of the reasons why when people say to me like, oh wow, you're doing a lot, and oh, I hear that. um and one of the things that comes to my mind is just the reality that I think that there is a reality to how we handle the time that we have. And yeah, and as I was saying before, there are a lot of things that that I do, but I do it with the intention of being able to share with people the importance of knowing that you can discover your purpose and you can live it, and you can live it to the fullest. And so, yes, we have to live. Yes, we have to pay bills. Yes, we have to have a roof over our head, and we've got to take care of, our family and things like that. But I also believe that we have to live the life that we've been given, because there's somebody else that is waiting time that'll say things like, "Hey, what's up?" I always give people all the time that'll say like, "Oh man, I missed it," but I definitely uh, I want people to be able to join in the conversation. So let's see, yeah. Yeah, so tonight's topic, let's talk about that for a little bit and then we're going to go to commercial break. So tonight's topic again is about creative healing in every culture, building wellness from the inside out. So as we get close to the end of July and we're closing out Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, we're talking we're going to take the time to look closely at how creativity, culture, and holistic healing come together to help us grow through what we go through. I also want to thank everyone again for not just the birthday wishes, but also just celebrating my life in such a way that makes me be just feeling affirmed that the things that I'm doing is helping others, because that was one of the things that like my heart felt very full about being at the Indiana Black Expo. When people stopped by my booth and they were like, "Oh, I appreciate what you're sharing, what you're doing. I see you doing great things, or I'm hearing your podcast and it's really been inspiring me, or I appreciate just you sharing things about mental health, and it's really made me want to decide to start going to therapy, or I appreciate even just the things that you've done on your different platforms with Spoken Word Elevated, and creating safe spaces for people to write and to share poetry, and it's really been encouraging and inspiring, and just those kinds of words. For me, words is definitely one of my love languages, words of affirmation. And so for me, it's not about like saying like, "Oh, you're great, you're great, you're great," but it's helping me understand that the things that I'm doing, it is actually helping other people heal. That is one of my top things of all times. Like if like, I don't know if you ever think about it like this, but every once in a while I think, when I leave this earth and people ask or people say things about me, learn more and also sign up for it, which you can do that through my website, www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here soon. But first, let me also ask you, in addition to that, let me ask you this. What's one way that you express yourself creatively, even if no one else sees it? And then the second question is, where in your life do you need healing, and what would it look like to build with purpose? So we're going to talk about that tonight, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. But I was hoping maybe my husband will play the song by none other than Miss Janet Jackson, because I love that song. And thank you for posting that in the chat too, babe. But funny how time flies. I don't know if that's is that the name of the song? Yeah, funny how time flies, right? Yeah, it is. Okay. So yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get that song in. But yeah, I do. I want us to be thinking about creatively, how do we use maybe areas of our life that we really have maybe been ignoring that could be a part of our breakthrough and our healing. Because that's something that all of us have, and some of us don't think that we're creative, but in reality, we really are. It's just you being able to tap in to figure that out. So we will be back after this commercial break soon enough, I guess. Can you text the live stream to people? Hey, y'all. We are back. We are back. Man, that if y'all hadn't got a chance, make sure that if you want to listen to the actual radio station, you want to go to either my website, www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com. Click on podcast plus resource, and you can get to the radio station there, or you can do it by getting to
www.daspeakaboxx.com.
and you can do that. Also, if you are listening to the live stream chat on YouTube or Facebook, you can also get to both websites that way, and you can also listen. So that's what that is. But man, I sometimes when I see stuff later, I'm be like, dang man, if only I knew, because I had no idea that he was such a profound poet. Like Malcolm Jamal Warner was such a profound poet, and I don't even know the name of that piece, but actually I did see something on NPR on
Art in motion.
Art in Motion. Is that what the name of it was?
Yes.
Okay, so that's pretty dope. Like to be able to just articulate the way that he did, and see, that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about this episode, because that's what we're talking about, creative healing. As we continue on, with tonight's topic, which is about creating space for more therapeutic ways of being able to cultivate mental wellness through creative healing. So, creative healing in every culture, building wellness from the inside out. That's the topic of tonight. So, I asked a question before break. And if you didn't get a chance to hear that, again, I'm your host, Patrice Stokes of Therapy on the Mic. This is Therapy Thursdays, brought to you by Inspired on Purpose, where we talk about all things developing gratitude, growth, and healing, and inspiring people to see themselves through a different lens, to find their healing and their God-given purpose using therapy and photography, and also poetry. But I say all that to say, because the engaging question of the night was this: could your next breakthrough come from a creative outlet that you've been ignoring? And so as we're looking at creative healing, we're looking at how it supports people of all backgrounds. And so we had the opportunity just literally less than 2 weeks ago to put on another amazing spoken word elevated event at the Idle Jorg Museum. So shout out to the Idle Jorg Museum, who is also one of our amazing sponsors. So thank you as well for all that you do for the community, the Idle Jorg Museum, and also shout out to the president CEO, Katie Haig, who also celebrated a birthday as well. So happy belated birthday to you as well, Katie.
Happy birthday, Katie.
Happy birthday. And so we were just so grateful, because a lot of people that came to this event had never been to the Idle Jorg before, or had been a really long time. So it was like a breath of fresh air to just be able to be in a new space that Spoken Word Elevated has never been in before, but also to be able to be surrounded by so much art all around the walls, and to have a dope stage. And so just shout out to Katie's amazing team that put on and decorated and did all the things. And so like it was great. So, but I say that because there were so many moments during Spoken Word Elevated where all of us were just moved to tears because of what people shared creatively on the mic. Poetry is one of the many forms that people utilize to find healing, because oftentimes, especially in communities of color, we are suppressed, silenced, or overlooked, but we are profited on because of the arts that we provide to the world, and many times taken advantage of. And so to be able to be on the mic to share not only poetry, but to really share healing stories that people could connect with, no matter what your ethnic background is or your socioeconomical status or whatever the case is, but to just have people in one space to be able to identify and acknowledge, and to also, encourage each other's stories. It was so dope. And so I just want to give again another huge shout out to our featured poets at that event. We had Morgan Saunders, Ebony Lott, Sloan Swenson, and also Lex the Gentleman. And so just having them, and then of course I also did some poetry as well. It was just mind blowing. It was just I couldn't ask for a better event. So thank you all as well. So I wanted to give y'all a shout out as well tonight. But I want to go into what our mantra is. So this segment is sponsored by Herbal Intellect. So for those of you that don't know, we want to give a shout out to Paul Harris of Herbal Intellect. He has amazing products that are holistic, that are healing, that are good for not only your body, but for your soul. Recently, I had a little bit of a scratchy throat. I ain't gonna lie. And it's warm. So, of course, the last thing I want is to be sick during this time of year. So I immediately took some of Paul's Herbal Intellect tea, and I was just met with nothing but just good feelings, and like I said, that scratch went away immediately. And I swear by it, and I'm not playing. Like I don't swear by stuff that I don't approve of or haven't used. We have this in our house. We use it especially when we're trying to be proactive about our health. And I like to take it particularly going into the fall season, but this is also another time that I like to do it because this is a season where people are traveling, going different places out of state, out of the country, and so sometimes you pick up things along the way. So Herbal Intellect tea is a great asset to have, product to have in your arsenal when it comes to your health. And so definitely something that you should definitely get. And if you want to get more information, you can go to my website. You can go to Inspired on Purpose, and you can go to our sponsor page, and you can learn more and click on his logo for Herbal Intellect to learn more about his products that he has. So on that, we're going to talk about our mantra moment in this segment. And that mantra moment is this: I will build with purpose, intentionally, mindfully, creatively, and from the inside out. I love that. I love that. And I'm going to tell you why. As we wrap up again, Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, if you weren't aware, July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And this month, the month of July, the theme that we are focusing on for Therapy on the Mic is creative healing. So this mantra reminds us that healing is not a one size fits all. It's deeply personal, cultural, and often deeply creative. And so whether it starts with journaling, movement, music, or some meaningful conversation, healing begins when we give ourselves permission to grow from the inside out. And I want to hear from you. What does that mean? Building with purpose, intentionally, mindfully, creatively, from the inside out. Whether you listen to this now or on the replay, I want to hear from you. Make sure that you put a comment in the chat about what it looks like to build with purpose, intentionally, mindfully, creatively, from the inside out. And that's exactly why we are creating this opportunity to build with purpose. And that is the name of the program, a 6 weeks challenge that we are doing. I will be having Nicole Garrett, who is the holistic nutritionist, who will be on the show. And you'll hear more from her soon enough. But her and I, like I said before, we are partnering together to put on this 6 week challenge that will start in August. But we're doing a free virtual informational that you can be a part of to learn more about all of it, what it includes, the cost, as well as, the benefits of what you can actually get from this program in just 6 weeks, y'all. So again, the name of the program is Building with Purpose, Mind, Body, and Soul. A 6 week challenge that is guiding you on a journey that blends nutrition, therapy informed practices, and self-care to help you reset, refocus, and rebuild with purpose. What do you think about that? I think that's pretty dope, right? I think so too. And as I think about all those things, what I really love most is that it helps us to think through what are ways that we can continue to work on ourselves. The more intentional that we are about our health, the better off we are, because it definitely helps us to see that there are so many things that we want to accomplish, but oftentimes what stops us is we don't either have the energy to do it, we don't have the mental clarity to be able to function proper enough to do those things. Or sometimes we just don't even have the discipline because we're just doing too much and we're not really honing in on the areas that will help us to be more intentional in being able to heal and to grow and to do the things that we were created for. And I'm really excited too because, I've been doing little things here and there to work on my health. But having Nicole as the nutritionist and utilizing her expertise, I think is going to be an awesome combination because myself being a therapist, there's things that I know from the mental side of things when it comes to mental health. But I think combining that with nutrition, they connect, right? They truly do connect, and you can't have one without the other because your mind and your nutrition are definitely connected. When you don't eat well, you tend to not think well. And when you are, dealing with, different emotions, sometimes if you're dealing with sadness or stress or anxiety, we comfort eat a lot. I know I do. Or when we are, having hard days and we don't have time to meal prep, right? One thing that she recently told me was she said, meat prep. She said, not meal prep, meat prep. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Love this. I love that chat. I love that in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you love this. But I love that she said it's not just about meal prepping, it's about meat prepping because again, unless you're vegetarian, but whatever your main meat is, your main source of protein, I'll say that. That I think is really important. Oh, how do we find a therapist in Indianapolis? Oh, good question. I'm going to get back onto my topic, but I'm going to answer this question because it's in the chat. The best way to do that is you can go to my website, www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com. It's also in the chat, so you can click on it there. But when you go there, click on Contact Us, and there is a therapy referral form, and that is where you can click on and fill out that form, and I will be in contact with you within the week so I can give you more information about how to book a therapy session with me. And I also have various things that you can do in the midst of that as well. We do workshops, which is a big part of what this 6-week challenge is about. But then we also do other things too, whether if it's one-on-one or in small groups. So those are a couple of ways that you can get connected to me for therapy if you're interested. Really important. There we go. So if you heard me, hopefully you hear me. But one of the things that I would say that is also really important is just the importance of being able to work through whatever areas in your life that you might be struggling with, and to find different avenues to be able to find healing, to find some I would say purpose driven living. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And that's what we talk about in therapy sessions, is to help you discover really what your purpose is. So, yeah. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Um, so one of the things that I think is going to be really, really key in all of this is, just finding out what your passions are, and in finding out what your passions are, being able to move forward with some key ingredients that will help you to really hone in and to make some headway with those areas in your life so that you can actually reach the goals that you really want to reach. So that's going to be a little bit more about what you can do in therapy sessions with me and how I can help you in whatever those goals are, which you can share that when you fill out the form so that way I know how best to help you. But I also want to talk a little bit more about this 6 week challenge. So I'm going to get something real quick. So hold your horses. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, sweet. So, um, one of the things that I'm really excited about, as I think about the 6 week challenge, is that you get an opportunity to connect not only with me, being a therapist, but also a nutritionist, which is going to be Nicole Garrett, but you get to be in community. And that to me is priceless. I think a lot of times when we are trying to make big changes in our lives, we want to do it by ourselves. So, um, so, um, one of the things that I'm really thankful for, even in all of this, is it really is something that I'm really excited about for myself personally, because I definitely have a lot of things that I want to accomplish personally when it comes to my health and also weight loss. But also, even if you're not trying to lose weight, even if you're, just wanting to maintain, have healthy energy, right? Sometimes we get tired too quick, and a lot of that has to do with what's going on in our gut. So if we don't have the necessary tools, it can actually keep us from doing the things that we need to do. What do you think about that, huh? I think that's pretty dope. I think that's pretty dope. And like I said, you can put your answers, questions, and whatnot in the chat as well. That would be great. So I say all that to say that we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a great session for the virtual session, which will be next Wednesday, July 30th from 8 to 9 p.m. You will get more information about how to start the 6 week journey with us. People will be able to join literally from all over the world, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about this, because literally you can connect with someone from a different state and still find inspiration just from their own stories as you all are coming together, as we're coming together on this, which is going to be really dope. And then we're going to have workshops virtually. We'll have one time we'll meet in person, and then the rest of those will be virtual. So you'll have an opportunity to connect with other people, like-minded people who are on the same wavelength in terms of wanting to reach goals and to feel healthier and feel better about their selves from the inside out. But again, I also want to talk and take a moment. So this next segment that we're going to talk about is called Uncomfortable Conversations, right? We are sometimes in a world where having uncomfortable conversations is what we dodge like the plague. And in reality, what we don't realize is the more that we face those uncomfortable conversations, that's where we'll find the healing. So let's take a moment for real talk, right? That's what this is about. That's what this segment is about. I want to, again, as I said before, dedicate this segment to Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was born on August 18th, 1970, and took his last breath July 20th of 2025. He was an artist, an actor, a husband, a father who tragically lost his life the day before my birthday. And one thing that I know about grief, it is never easy to navigate. But when we hold space for each other in community, we not only are able to deal with the weight that comes with it, but it also allows us to make that weight a little lighter. And that's why Therapy on the Mic is all about developing gratitude, growth, and healing personally and professionally, because this is something that we all need. No matter where you're from, no matter what your background is, and no matter what you've been through, we all need to develop gratitude, growth, and healing in every season of our life, and especially in life's hardest seasons. And doing it together is what makes the difference. What's up, Jared? Hi. How are you, fam? I just want to say, and I want to give a quick shout out to Jared, who is on the live stream with us tonight. If y'all don't know about my cousin, right now, he's cousin by marriage, but he's my cousin, so I claim him just like Lamont does. But I just want to say that I am so excited about just the path that God has you on. And just to see your growth, like from the first time that we saw you dance with Keith to now. I mean, like, you just continue to inspire not only me and Lamont, but you inspire so many people by just the growth that you have continued on doing in your life. And here on Therapy on the Mic, we are all about, like I said, developing gratitude, growth, and healing. But knowing that a part of your purpose is dancing, which is another form of creative healing. And I think I asked you this question before, and so I interviewed Jared, so y'all see that a little later. But I did interview Jared, and I got a chance to ask him how dancing, right, because he's he choreographs for Keith Sweat. So if you don't know, you need to find out. You need to learn about Jared Weathers. He's one dope individual. But one thing that I want to say about Jared is that he shared a little bit about how dancing is a form of creative healing for him, because it's a space that he gets to not only like dig deep into the different areas in his life by being able to dance it out, but it's also a space where he gets to inspire other people while he's also processing and dancing and being able to, unravel different things in his life that will help him heal. So I really enjoy just hearing his story when I got a chance to interview him at the Indiana Black Expo last week. And so be on the lookout for that interview because that was really dope. Um, all the speaker by say, yo, love you, fam. Yes, we love you. We love you, love you, we love you. So continue to do the great work that you're doing. So I'm gonna ask you this since you're on here. So I'm gonna back up a little bit when I ask the question. So I'll ask you this, Jared, and I'll ask anybody else that is on here on the chat. So make sure that you put your answers in the chat box so I know that I'm not talking, just me talking. But the question I asked at the very beginning was this: could your next breakthrough come from a creative outlet that you've been ignoring? And what's one way that you express yourself creatively, even if no one else sees it? Hey, Paul, what's up? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. So, shout out to Paul again, who is one of our sponsors for Therapy on the Mic. Shout out to Herbal Intellect. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I'm going to ask y'all. So, since y'all coming on here, thank y'all so much for coming on. But I want to ask you again. So, hopefully, somebody will put something in the chat before I move on. But again, tonight's topic for those who are just coming on again is about creative healing in every culture, building wellness from the inside out. So, with that, the question that I asked was this: could your next breakthrough come from a creative outlet that you've been ignoring? And if so, what's one way that you express yourself creatively, even if no one else sees it? Can anybody put it in the chat? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. What would that look like for you? I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious. That would be really dope to see what people say. So maybe you're typing, maybe you're processing it. So I'm gonna keep going. But if you think about it, share that with me. Put it in there. Put it in there. But I also want to say this too. As I think about having, again, we've been talking about uncomfortable conversations in this segment. Too often, especially in marginalized communities, therapy is stigmatized and creative expressions are overlooked. But one thing I'm grateful for was at our Spoken Word Elevated 4-year anniversary celebration 2 weekends ago, we saw the opposite. We witnessed healing through poetry, through vulnerability, and through art. And when I tell you, it wasn't a dry eye in the room, it truly was medicine. So, no matter your background, storytelling is medicine. When I think about the poem that Malcolm Jamal Warner did, and actually, if you go to NPR, the Tiny Desk, if you just look up his name, he did some poetry on there too, and I really, really, really loved it, and I probably will listen to it again. But that is storytelling, and it's medicine in and of itself. So that was something that was truly a blessing to just listen to. Oh, I think we got a chat. We got a chat. What's an answer? Creating events for dope artists. That is your outlet, even if no one else sees it, right? So creating, and that is definitely a creative form of healing, right? Being able to put something on to create space, safe spaces for people to be creative, to be seen, to be heard, to have a voice. That is something that is a great outlet to be able to find healing. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Let's see what else we got. Melissa, what's up, girl? Mello. Okay. Mello said writing poetry and photography. Yes, that is also another creative outlet. Yes, photography definitely is something that I love and definitely is a healing outlet because of just how you can, share a story, just how you can share a story through pictures. Something that I did years ago, when I used to do ministry, was have pictures, and I used to do this through another organization that did this, but I've continued to do it, even just in my book, is using pictures to inform emotions. When we look at pictures, oftentimes, let's say, for instance, if it's a sunset or if it's a picture of, an ocean waters over a pretty sunset, that evokes certain emotions. And it could do that for different people, depending on whatever your experience is or whatever you're currently going through. But pictures evoke emotions. And it can also create healing, because sometimes, a picture of someone hugging, someone else, or like a child hugging a mother, or a child hugging a father, or two cousins or relatives embracing, or two lovers embracing, and holding hands, very innocent things that could be forms of healing in a picture where you're taking snapshots and you're capturing those special moments. Or if you have family photos, I think all those things are healing ways of being creative. Because even as I think about Malcolm, there's so many pictures that I could probably just Google and search. And I say this respectfully, because my husband is amazingly fine. But Malcolm was a very good looking man. And I think one of the things that I appreciate about his story, and just any picture that you could probably find of him, is that he was always smiling and he always had something positive to say. So pictures really do not only capture those special moments, but they can also be helpful even in moments of grief, when we are going through things and we want to be reminded of those special moments in our life, or the special people that have gone on. Photography can definitely be another creative form of healing. So thank you for sharing that, Mello. That's really good. So again, I just want to say that if you missed anything from Spoken Word Elevated, because that, like I said, was another creative space of healing, when we had Spoken Word Elevated. And Mello, actually, shout out to Mello. She also did her thing on open mic. So she did a really great job. Great job, sis. So proud of you. But you will actually be able to see more of that on Spoken Word Elevated's platform. So on Facebook, on Instagram. And then I also have some posts as well, some videos on YouTube as well from Spoken Word Elevated that you can find out. You can see more like some of the recaps. So I'll share some more of that here in the next like week or so you can look back and also see some of the other poets that were on the stage. So, and when I say all of them were phenomenal, all of them were phenomenal. I was just like, wow. I just felt honored to be in the same space, because everybody did a really great job. So with that, I want to move on to the last segment of our time tonight. And that is really the whole purpose of why we're here, why we do therapy on the mic. And that is Real Talk. And in this segment of Real Talk, which is sponsored by Don't Stop Living Wellness, Be Well Therapeutic Massage Spa, Carlin J and Associates, and Run with Wine, I really want to say that this segment about Real Talk is not just about understanding the importance of what mental health and wellness looks like, but really what are the things that we need individually as well as collectively as a community in order to be healthy. And that is really what this whole topic is centered around, right? So why does this discussion matter? It matters because creative healing bridges the gap between emotional release and physical well-being. It's accessible to everyone, regardless of culture, background, or upbringing. And so I want to share a quick stat, because like I said before, I like data. So, and I think that, not I think, I know numbers don't lie when they are true. And so here's one for you. Creative arts. Did you know creative arts therapy has been shown to reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety by up to 50%? Did you know that? That's pretty dope. Here's another one. Chronic stress is linked to poor gut health, insomnia, and emotional burnout. These are issues that we can start by healing from the inside out. And that is a big part of why we're doing the 6 week challenge, because I have experienced those things myself. And I know the difference when I do pay attention to my body. And that's a big part of, mental health, is also listening to your body, right? We sometimes have thoughts in our head that aren't always healthy ones. And sometimes that has to do with because of what we're entering, what we allow to enter our bodies, not just what we eat, but what we watch, what we hear, the environments that we're around. And all those things can be different, can be changed if we are being more intentional on the inside of what's going on in the inside in order to make a difference on the outside. So, here's a couple of questions that I want you to think about along these lines. The first one is, what does healing look like in your culture or household? That's a good question. What does healing look like in your culture or household? And feel free to chat, put it in the chat too if you think about it. If you know what you want to say it in there. That's the first question. The second question is, how can creativity support emotional release when words fail? I gotta think about that one myself right now. I know. How creativity supports emotional release when words fail. And I'm gonna speak to this one. And if you have something that you want to share, you put it in the chat, because there's several things that come to my mind right now. The first thing that comes to my mind is creativity comes out in a lot of ways. For me, I tend to be creative in not just what I write, but what I do. When I create flyers, when I put on events, when I'm hosting, when I'm speaking, any of those things are, I believe, creative forms of expressing or releasing emotion, or having an emotional release when words fail. And just sometimes just being in the midst of whatever your creative art is. Dancing definitely, I think, is one way, for real. Like, even as I'm thinking about Jared, if you're still on here, cousin, one thing that I really enjoyed about watching you dance with Keith Sweat and the other dancers was how you had this effortlessness about how you danced. And it just, like, you seemed like you had this, like, immense amount of joy just being, and not just so much as being on the stage, but just being in your element. And I think that's one of the things about creativity that helps us to support emotional release, because so often we sometimes turn off that creative switch in our lives because we got to work, and sometimes we may not necessarily see our job, our 9 to 5 job, as a form of a creative outlet. But I beg to differ, because if you do something effortlessly, even on your job, and for somebody else it may seem like, I can't do that, or that's difficult, but for you, you do it with ease and you find joy in doing it, even if it may not be in the best environment. That is something that you have to take some time to not ignore, but pay attention and even journal about it. That is one way that you can begin to discover your purpose. And I say that because our purpose is very much connected to not just the things that bring us joy, but the things that we're really good at. Have you ever thought about that? That's something that years ago, when I was in college, and I never really understood. Well, actually, it started in high school. A lot of my friends would always come to me, and I wasn't necessarily like, here, come talk to me. It would just be like, Patrice, you seem like you're a good listener. I'm going to talk to you. And it would just devour, just tell me all these things. And afterwards, I would listen. I would ask a couple questions, and then I may give a little bit of advice if they wanted it. And they'd be like, that's deep. And that went on for years until college. And I had a mentor who had shared some things with me that made me realize, like, okay, so this might be something that I might want to actually, like, really consider. Now, granted, my undergrad degree, I went to Purdue University. It was in animal sciences. So pretty much since the age of 4, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And that's what I was preparing, or that's what I did go to college for. That's why I went to Purdue, because I honestly really wanted to go to Tuskegee University. But that's another style. That's another story for another time. But while I was in college, I minored in psychology because I was so fascinated with just human behavior and the mind and just human interaction that I just wanted to study and learn more. And so I end up getting a minor in psychology and end up doing college ministry, graduated from college, and then end up becoming a missionary. Can you believe that? And I did that for 10 plus years. I did that for about 10 years. But in between those times, while I was doing ministry and I was working with college students, traveling the country, talking about faith and purpose and education, I always found myself coming right back to the very thing that I was told, even in high school. I'm a good listener. I share really wise information, and I have a lot of empathy. And it was something that I didn't realize that God was always preparing me for, even though it didn't happen the way that I thought it would. His timing is perfect. And if there's one thing that I could share with you all, if you're listening to this now or on the replay, is always look at your story. Look at where you've been placed in your life. And even if it wasn't necessarily where you wanted it to go, or if it wasn't always what you wanted to do, did you find joy even in the moments that you didn't necessarily plan and prepare for? And if you found joy and you found purpose in it, is that something that other people see in you? Is it something that other people benefit because you're doing it? And if the answers to any of those questions are yes, then that's a part of your purpose in life. And a part of what I had to do on that journey, and also through a variety of other experiences where I decided that I needed therapy because I realized that in order for me to fully live out my purpose, I had to get healing in those areas in my life that were keeping me stuck, that weren't allowing me to fully live out the purpose on my life that I know I was called and created to do. And so when I started going to therapy, which started in college, and actually my first therapist was a white woman, and there were definitely points where I felt very heard and understood, but I also realized um, I also realized that there were places in my life that I needed someone that could identify with my culture and my experience. And so that put a fire under my butt because I realized, like, and somebody actually said it before I could even communicate it in my mind. They were like, you ever thought about, like, being a therapist, like, full time? Because you're already counseling people. So you might want to consider going back to school. And of course, in my mind, I was like, oh, I don't want to go back to school. But I did. And there was a gap. It was like a 10-year gap, y'all. And between the time of my undergrad, when I graduated in 2024, 2004. Yeah. 2004, which is when I graduated from college, undergrad. And of course, when I went back to school in 2018, 2017, 2018, and got my master's in counseling and counseling education and my license in school counseling, and now going back to school for even more to be able to do more with mental health. One of the things that I realized was what I went to school for was what I was already doing for years. But it took being back in school that I realized that I was getting trained in something that I was already passionate about, that I had experience in, and that I also knew that a part of my purpose in helping and serving others was something that I was already created and built to do. And people had already affirmed it because of the things that they had told me throughout my life about what I was good at, what they appreciated and benefited from me being in their lives, and just the experience that I had received from doing the things that I had experienced joy in. And so therapy, being a therapist, is a big part of the way that I would also say that I am able to express myself creatively, because not only am I a therapist, but I'm a poet. And a big part of what I do as a therapist is I use poetry as a form of healing to help people discover their own voice, to find healing, and to find purpose, even in pain. And so that's why I wrote and published my book, Gratitude is Always in Season, which is all about helping people to discover gratitude, growth, and healing in every season of their life. And in my book, there are 20 poems. Each poem has a reflection section called Speak from the Heart. And each poem also has a picture that I've taken from my travels all over the world, and each tells its own story. And even though it's my story, there are spaces in each of those stories that I utilize to help other people find their story, to find their healing, to find their purpose. And so there are 3 chapters. And the first chapter is about gratitude for self. The second chapter is gratitude for relationships. And the third is gratitude for the journey. And I share often in each one of those poems where it was difficult for me to find gratitude in any of those sections, whether if it was gratitude for self, gratitude for relationships, or gratitude for the journey. And the thing that I've been most blessed by since, it's been a year that it's been published, because I published it actually on my birthday of last year. But since I have published that book and have sold it, and it's been shared, and I've performed poetry from it in different spaces throughout the year. One thing that I've heard from people that has really been a blessing to me to help me know that this is what I was supposed to do is that it's helped people find healing, and also to discover the growth that they needed in those places where they felt stuck. And to me, that has been such an honor to hear people share how the book has been a blessing to them. So, again, if you also are interested in being able to find healing in any of those parts of your life, and I always tell people, and I actually use the book in my therapy sessions with clients individually as well as in group sessions. But I always tell people, if for some reason you are finding difficulty finding gratitude in a hard season of your life, whether if it's gratitude for yourself, finding gratitude in relationships, or gratitude in the journey that you're in right now, to start in that chapter of the book, because that is the space, that is the place that you need to start first. Sometimes it's to find closure. Sometimes it's to find understanding. We may not understand everything that we go through, especially when they're difficult things that can be nerve wracking, and it can be really difficult. And the questions, you'll probably have more questions than you'll have answers. But a lot of times when we are dealing with a hard and a difficult space, a lot of times we just need to have peace with it. And that's one of the things that this book does, is it helps you to find peace with those areas in your life that you might not always know are areas that you might be wrestling with. Sometimes we ignore pain. And we do that by staying busy. We do that by, putting a smile on our face and saying, I'm okay, when we're not. But we really have to take the time to really be intentional in those areas. And that kind of goes to even just our health, right? What are we putting in our bodies when we are dealing with pain or loss or trauma? Are we putting healthy things in our bodies? Because what we're putting in our bodies sometimes can be a reflection of how we fit, what we think about ourselves. If we believe that we deserve healthy things, if we believe that we should invest in our health, right? Because a lot of times we'll be like, oh, that's too expensive. But when we think about it, our bodies is our first investment. And if we aren't investing in our bodies, then all these other things that we're chasing or that we think are really important and valuable, we won't be able to do it for long because our bodies won't allow it. And so we have to look at how are we prioritizing ourselves? How are we prioritizing our self-care, our mental health, our physical health? All of those things are the things that, even as we think about how being creative is a form of healing, how are we making space for those things? Because that's also a big part of the journey in us being able to discover our purpose. So, I say all that to say is I'm gonna break all of this stuff down because I've said a lot. I said a lot. And then again, if you tracking with me, put something in the chat so I know that you hear what I'm talking about. Because like I said, this is such a big topic, and after hearing about the passing of uh, Malcolm J. Warner, I I admit I got really sad earlier this week. And it's not like I knew him personally, but I realized that it made me really consider my life. And I think as I get older, and especially because I just had a birthday, I look at life so much differently than I used to. Like when you hit your 40s, you start thinking like, okay, I'm halfway through my life. But then you're like, okay, what have I been doing with my life? And is it purposeful? Is it am I being intentional, right? Like we can work a job and make six figures and travel the world and post stuff on social media like we got it together, but is that really what we are put on this earth to do? And even if it is, like, how is it helping someone else in their journey? Because we're not put on this earth to be an island. We are built to be in community. And so often, you know, we're living in a society that is trying to, what's the word? That's trying to make our human interaction less and make more of our isolation more. Meaning that we can be on our phones, we can text people, we can FaceTime, but having that physical in person interaction, especially after COVID, people sometimes are not always as quick to want to come in person. And as much as I love this and I love when I can chat with people, it's something different about when you are in front of that person because there are things that you can be aware of and be intentional about that you can't when you're actually like this virtual. But I say all that to say that, we have to figure out a way to still be intentional with what we got. So this is one way that I try to be intentional with people all over the world, really, because people are watching virtually on YouTube, on Facebook, on the radio station, on a website. And I never know who actually will be touched by something that I share. And my prayer is always that what I'm saying isn't just wasting air, but it really is touching somebody's heart and helping them heal and find purpose and wherever they are in the season that they're in. So I wanted to share this as a breakdown to our real talk tonight, and that is the science behind creative healing. Did you know studies show from Harvard and the American Psychology Association that expressive writing and creative art reduce cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and it increases neutral pathways related to emotional regulation. So let me say it again. A study by Harvard and the American Association showed that expressive writing and creative art reduce cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and it also increases neural pathways related to emotional regulation. So, for instance, shout out to AFGM because I know y'all was listening. Thank you, thank you for listening. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about watching their journey, and just even what they do, even producing music, I think is so dope. And shout out to you, Lo, their manager, in the work that he's doing as well. But being able to create music, because music is a language for all of every culture and background. And my husband and I, we've been watching this. What is it called? If you can put in the chat, babe, what is the name of that show that we've been watching on Netflix? because I can't think of it right now. What's up, D? Hey, how are you? How are you, Miss Blue? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. But I can't think of, there is a show on Netflix that is about basically making the band. And I'm trying to think of the name of it. Okay, so Paul says in the chat, he's saying it's energy, is an energy exchange. You get to deal with their spirit. Yes, that is true. I think when you get a chance to interact with people, right, you do have an energy exchange. And that's one of the things that's so important about being in community. Build a band. Thank you, babe. So the name of it that we watched, so you can watch this on Netflix. It is really dope. Like, I can't even put into words how dope it is. But and it uses technology in a different way that I would have never thought how this could work. But the name of it is called Building a Band, and you can find it on Netflix. It is got about eight, nine, 10 episodes or whatever, so you can binge watch because we pretty much did. But basically, the concept is you have, I think it's like 50 singers, right, from all walks of life, all different, from all over the world. Literally, you have people from Australia, you have people from Detroit, you have people from London, Brazil. Like, so you have men and women from all over the world that are all singers, and they all have different genres and different types of interests when it comes to music, but they all are artists, musicians, right? So they have these pods that each one of them is in, and they, in their own little pod, is where they're sitting, and they all have to perform in order to basically let other people hear them to decide whether or not they want them in their band. And that's how they create a band. But the kind of the caveat to this way of building a band is that they cannot see each other. They can only hear them. So in these pods, when they're listening to people sing, right? Because we see it like from a consumer standpoint, we see them on a stage, each individual on a stage singing a song, and we can see them. But the people in the pods can only hear their voices. They cannot see a visual of them. And so they have to make the decision based off of their voice whether or not they want them in a band together. So each person gets to basically like hit a button and say like, yep, I want that person, or I'm interested in that person to be in a band with. And as a result, I'm great. Oh, okay. Miss Blue said, I'm great. Hope all is well with you. I'm proud of you. Oh, thank you, Miss Blue. I'm proud of you as well. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for also the encouragement. And as I think about this, and Miss Blue is an artist, so this is perfect. So as we're talking about, and just so Miss Blue or anyone else that's on here that's listening, the topic that we're talking about tonight is creative healing. And really, how do we use creative healing in every culture to help build wellness from the inside out? And so as I'm talking about this topic, let's see what else we got. We got another chat. Let's see, what does it say? Okay, got it. Okay, cool. But kind of going back to this concept of building a band that's on Netflix. So and they can only make up 6 bands. So it's like starts with 50 people, and then over time, you have to have like 5 likes, which is kind of like weird because you're thinking about social media, like you have to like the person in order, like that's their vote. So everybody's kind of like voting for the person that they think they will at least like to have in a band. And if they have less than 5 likes, then they're dismissed. Miss Blue is an actress too. Yes, she is. And she's on Tubi. Yes. So if you don't know, you need to check out Miss Blue. She is not only, she raps, and she also is on Tubi. So you can actually look her up as an actress on Tubi. So thank you for saying that too. Yes. So again, that's another form of creativity that could be a great outlet to express yourself and find healing. So as we think about that, right, in this building a band concept, they have 6 bands, and each one of them, without seeing each other, has to determine whether they want them in their band. And once they kind of decide, kind of whittle down who they think would be a good fit for each other, again, they're still not seeing each other. They're making the decision based off of what they're hearing. And so the idea to me that I thought was cool about this concept, as they're all in their own little individual pod, is that they're making judgment calls not off of what they see, but what they hear. And a lot of times, I think when it comes to us understanding ourselves and other people, we make judgment calls before we get to know a person. Um, oh, okay. Yep. So, oh, okay. What's up? Premier, okay, is that Keith? What's up, sir? We got somebody else on here that's saying that the show Making the Band is like the old Diddy show Making the Band. That's how Danita Kane, it came out. Oh, okay, got you. So yeah, but one of the things that I like about this, and I think that every type of like making a band is kind of like building off of something that was already made. So one of the things that I will say that I do enjoy, hey, how are you? One of the things that I can say that I really enjoy about this is that you can kind of see the building of bands over time, how they've morphed into something new, and even how they create these bands is out of something new, from what has already been. So it's kind of like, you take wisdom from the things that you've already know worked, and then you kind of shift and make some other little things that are a little different. So the cool thing again about this is that they don't see each other, they only hear each other. And then when they kind of whittle down what they think is going to be the best outcome for their band, some people want all boy band or all girl band, or maybe some of them wanted initially an all boy and all girl band, but then they really like certain voices and they realize like, ooh, I think I might want them in my band, even though it won't be an all boy or all girl band like I initially thought. So there's one band that ends up coming together, and it's a mixture of both men and women and different races, different ethnicities, and they are so powerful. And when they finally see each other, now again, their first song that they end up singing together, they practice, of course, not seeing each other, have no idea what each other looks like. They practice in their own little pods, talking to each other, singing and practicing or whatever, separate, apart from each other. But the day that they actually sing their song in person together is the very first day that they see each other. So they come out of their pods and they're all like facing us like a circle, and the door opens and they're singing their part, and then they see the person that they've been talking to the whole time but never saw. And it's like you can see the emotion on their faces when they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't think that's what you look like. But yet there's like a synergy that happens when they get together, and it is like the coolest thing. I have never seen anything like that before. But to me, that says a lot of things, right? And the one thing that comes to mind is when we, as human beings, right? We're not talking about race. We're not talking about socioeconomical status. We're not talking about none of the things that a lot of times gets in the way of us really connecting with someone, no matter where you're from or what your experience or life story has been. That when you take somebody for just who they are as a person from what you get right off top, right? These people literally heard each other sing, and they heard their voices, and they had conversation, and then that's how they made the decision to make their band. And you can see the different dynamics in the bands that are ultimately made, and then of course they end up doing their competitions, and you end up having only one winner at the end of it. And we still gotta watch some of the other episodes because we almost fell asleep, or I almost fell asleep because we was watching it late at night, binging. I just think that is so cool because human behavior is some of the most fascinating things to me when it comes to how we interact, how we make decisions, how we think, how we feel, how we move in life. And I think those are one of the things that when we're thinking about our creative healing or even our process and how we find healing in our lives, we have to find those outlets that not only connect with our souls, but also connect with other people. And the thing that I loved about how these people connected in each one of their bands before they even saw each other, they made a connection. And then when they came together and finally saw each other, it was like, wow, like that connection almost was affirming that what they had even before they physically saw each other was genuine. And it helped remove some of the stigmas because you had different people, different races, different sizes. There were people who were tall, who were skinny, who were bigger, had short hair, who may have been, on different spectrums. But and of course, one of the things that was said, because I can't think of his name. Somebody knows the dude's name from NSYNC, or I'm sorry, Backstreet Boys. That is the one of the people on the show. I can't think of his name, and I can't think of the girl's name, but she's from Pussycat Dolls. So they're the two like judges or the main people who are kind of like making this happen. Yeah, it is pretty dope, isn't it, Miss Blue? It is pretty dope. So if you haven't, you gotta watch it. It is on Netflix. Again, it's called making the band, I think, right? Building a band. It's called Building a Band. And again, that's one of the reasons why I love this and why I connect so much with this topic tonight on creative healing. Because it's not about self. Like, creative healing isn't just about what you bring to the table. It's about what you bring to the table and somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. And really, when you come together, there's so like you sometimes bring out the best in the other person that you would not have if you had not been in community. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about being in community and being in healthy community. Can I say that? That's what's really, really big. Having healthy community, because we can have some community, but it may not always be healthy, which can definitely do the opposite of what we want when we're thinking about healing if they're not healthy. So even if we're not healthy, what do we need to do in order to change that? Well, here's one thing. We got to do some introspection. We got to look at what is it within myself that's maybe causing other people to not want to be around me, or initially, but either I might be self-sabotaging, maybe I don't believe that I deserve healthy people in my life, or maybe I don't deserve love, or I think I have an idea of what I think love is and this is not what it is. But if it's actually helping me heal and grow and it might be challenging me, then maybe I need to maybe rethink how I'm going about connecting with people in my life in order for me to find the healing and the purpose that I'm looking for. Thank you. Somebody said that the name of the two that are kind of like running the show is AJ and Nicole. So Nicole is from Pussycat Dolls, I think it is, and then AJ is from Backstreet Boys. So you should definitely look it up, and it makes me think about the song. What is it? Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was? I'm not gonna say it all. Don't you? Don't you? So anyway, so you know that song that'll get stuck in your head, for real. But I just think that like that was such a dope concept when you're thinking about how creatively how you can grow and heal. And so that was really dope. One thing I do want to share too is how to identify what needs healing. So I want to have a brief discussion on that. But I did a mental health day with a group, probably like early spring. Yeah. And one of the things that I talked about briefly, and I'm going to do this here. So if you're interested in these kinds of topics or learning more, like I said, make sure that you go to my website, www.inspiringpurposeservices.com, fill out a therapy referral form on the tab Contact Us, if you're interested in wanting to dive deeper into some of these concepts for yourself. But one thing that I talked about was coping skills and identifying stress, right? So one of the things that's really important, I think, when we are going through life is being able to know when we are dealing with stress. A lot of times we don't realize it until after things have happened. And one of the ways that we can be more aware of stress and also how to cope in a healthy way is being able to be proactive and have some ideas of how to have coping skills. Because coping skills is what not only decreases stress, but it also helps us to have a better experience, even when we're in sometimes stressful situations that we can't necessarily control. So, ways to cope when we are dealing with heavy emotions or situations. So instead of bottling it up or exploding, we can do things like deep breathing, listening to music, journaling, talking to someone that you trust, or taking a walk or moving your body. Those are just some healthy, really quick ways of coping. But it's having you, it's you understanding, because again, everybody's different, what works for you. What works for you may not work for somebody else. But if you don't take the time to discover what works for you, then you'll never know. And you'll continue to go down that rabbit hole until you're stressed out or burnt out. And nobody wants that, right? So we got to think about all those things. So let's see. Keith said, I need to brush up on my mental health and spirit. Let's talk, bro. For real. That's one of the things that I help with. If that's something that you feel like you really want to do. Miss Blue said, now you got me singing it. I know it's addictive when you start thinking about that song, don't you? But it's funny too, because songs definitely can be very healing, and they can also sing. They can communicate emotions that sometimes we don't know how to get out. Um, and I'm trying to think of a good song. And if y'all can think of a song, because we are talking about creative healing, right? So if there is a song that comes to mind that you sing when you're going through a hard time, type it in the chat. I want to know what song is that, because I might know it. But songs, music definitely is a creative way of being able to find healing. And I think that, we all maybe have playlists. I know I have playlists. Yes, I love meditating. I love that. I love that. Let's see. I'm trying to look at my playlist right now because I'm trying to find what are some inspirational songs that I really, really love, that help me when I'm going through. So I'm looking through my library right now. So let's see. I've got I've got so many playlists. It's not even funny, y'all. I got so many playlists. If y'all got playlists, I want to hear your playlist. Here's a person that I really love, love, love. I don't know if you've even heard of her, but her name is Shantae Can. This is her, if you can see her. So check her out. Shout out to Shantae. She responded to one of my posts one day, and I was like all excited. I was like, oh my gosh, she responded to me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Black Men United. You will know. Oh, that's a good song. That is a good song, Keith. Yes, that is such a good song. And that is such a great, healthy example of unity with men, with black men. Like, ooh, that song almost makes me cry every time I think about it, because it's like so many times, in our communities, we are stigmatized with being violent and not being together, but that was such a beautiful representation of coming together, right? And for lyrics that were powerful and empowering, that's a good song. Let's see. Miss Blue says, my song, The Best Version of Me. Okay, yeah, that's your song. That's a good one. Oh, come on, Keith. Yes, Sounds of Blackness. Hold on, change is coming. Yes, mine is from Sounds of Blackness is optimistic. That has been, I think 2025 is my theme song for 2025, being optimistic, because boy, I tell you, this year has been crazy. Like, there's been more joys than sadness in 2025 for me. 2024 was difficult, but 2025, the song has definitely been optimistic, has been one for me. Yes. Sounds of Blackness, optimistic. Yep. Same, babe. There's another song by Shantae Can called Free Your Dreams. So I'm going to play it so that way you can hear it. Let me see. So, hold on. If y'all can hear that real quick. If you can hear that, hold on. Hopefully y'all can hear that. I'm gonna speed it up so that way you can hear the front. Hold on.
since I've tried to be something I'm not. I'm just trying to use what I got. Over time, you'll see that I make it a little bit weak. But it don't mean I still don't have a dream, yeah. So I say, reach up and touch the sky, fly high, jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Just look up and show me that you're on the right track. Yeah. Wake up and bring your dreams into reality. I'm gonna say it one more time.
Okay, so that song right there, I could listen to that song multiple times a day because it is truly about freeing your dreams, y'all. And we can't free our dreams if we're not healing. So they go together, right? In order to free our dreams, we got to heal, y'all. So Smooth, what's up, Smooth Lyrics? Okay, so Smooth says a song for him that is inspiring for him is Soul to Soul, Keep On Moving. Yes, that's another good one. That's another good one. Yeah, I love it. Y'all keep them coming. Keep them coming. Share these songs with me, right? Because these are the songs that when we're talking about coping skills and being able to have things that help us when we are going through a tough time, like we got to have those spaces to help us to move forward, right? In order for us to be able to think about what it is that we're doing, even in those moments where we feel really stressed out. Sometimes music can be the coping skill that helps us to decompress and to release the stress, right? That's a word right there. Decompress, release the stress. Listen to something that helps you heal, and that is where you will find what is real. I just came up with that off top, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But nah, for real. Those are some things like as far as some tips on coping skills that help you when you are dealing with stress. And then what else? Like if y'all have some things that you use when you are dealing with stress, I want to hear from you. Put it in the chat. What are some other things that you do? Another thing is, have you ever considered, and this kind of goes along with the writing, creating an anger log? Right? An anger log. Let me tell you what it is. An anger log can be where you are writing down when you have episodes of anger, when you take a few moments to record your experience. Then that's where you practice and you will work on identifying the patterns, the warning signs, and the triggers while you're also helping your emotions be organized with your thoughts, and you're able to work through your problems in order to get to a solution and find closure. That is why an anger log is really good. So a couple of things that you in your anger log or something, if you're writing something down, questions to ask yourself: what was happening before the anger episode? Describe how you were feeling, and what was on your mind when it happened. Were you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, or stressed when it happened? Those are just a couple of things that you can do in creating an anger log. So that's another tip to help you with stress. Because again, anger is a very natural emotion, but what makes it unhealthy is when it begins to control us and it actually overpowers our ability to make healthy decisions. So that is one thing that we all could work on. And so I hope that that was a helpful tip for you. Let's see who else we got in here. We got, oh, yep, somebody said decompress, release the stress. There you go. Yeah, say that. You could definitely say that. And then just make sure to just give my credit, right? But yeah, that is a word. Decompress, release the stress. When you feel like you are about to explode, let it go. Decompress, release the stress. Let's see. Keith says, God has funny ways of showing you lessons. He does. He really, truly does have really interesting ways of showing you lessons. And sometimes, and this is one thing that I'll say even to that, Keith, which is a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. It's important that we don't overlook the hard lessons. Oftentimes we're ready to get out of it, but oftentimes the reason why we end up going back to some of those lessons is because we didn't learn it the first time. And that is a hard pill for even me to swallow because, yeah, I feel like I'm sometimes still there. But I say all that to say that that is not for our harm. It is really for our good. Because in order for us to, people say, yeah, I'm trying to get to the next level. Well, we can't get to the next level if we haven't mastered the one that we're on right now. So that's where we have to, again, take time for ourselves to reflect. Meditation is really good. Prayer is really good. Listening to affirming, positive music, right? Because the words that we put in our ears, right, that comes out of our bodies in some ways that could either lead to anger or it can lead to positivity. But it's all about what are we allowing ourselves to consume, whether if it's through our ear gates, our eye gates. Well, you know what I meant, because I'm pointing to the wrong one. Our eye gates, our ear gates, even our mouth, right? In terms of when we're talking about nutrition, all of those things, right? Those all make a huge, huge difference in how we can experience our life, as well as the people around us who experience us in the process. So that's also really important too. Daily affirmations. Yes, that is very, very important. So daily affirmations is something that in my book, Gratitude is Always in Season, that I have. And I'm trying to think if I thought I had it on me. But that's one of the things that I would say is really important too, is having affirmations around you often, because we are our own worst enemy. We can tend to be very critical of ourselves, especially if we've dealt with trauma in our lives. And so sometimes we rehearse negative things or negative things people have taught us or told us over the years. And if we don't replace it with something positive that is true and that will help us grow and heal, then we will continue to go through those negative cycles and it won't help us change in the ways that we want. Somebody else said Anthony Hamilton, Best of Me. I love that song. That's another good one. Sinead Harnett, If You Let Me, Acoustics. Okay, I like that. I like that. That's good. That's good. These are good. These are good, y'all. This is so good. I'm so glad that y'all with me on this. So those are just a couple of things in terms of how to identify what needs healing, right? Another question to ask is, what's one creative outlet you can return to this week as a step toward healing? So we talked about several, whether if it's writing, journaling, movement, dancing, but whatever that creative outlet is that you can return to this week to help you step toward healing, do it. Just like Nike says, just do it. That is where you are definitely going to find healing. Another thing is check your energy. Are you always drained in certain spaces or relationships? If you are, either one, find new spaces, or if you can't necessarily get away, or you might need to be in those spaces, find ways that you can change from the inside out so that you aren't as drained. Maybe change your eating habits. Maybe get more sleep. Maybe think about what you are starting your day with. Are you waking up stressed? Are you focusing on creating healthy habits for yourself first thing in the morning to help you have a really great day so that you're not having a trashy day? What are those things that you're doing that help you to not be drained in certain spaces or relationships? And think about these relationships. Do you have healthy boundaries? Let's talk about that B word, boundaries. We all need them. And trust and believe, I myself have not honored some boundaries in my life when I am tired. And I know because I'm such a people person. I loved being at the Indiana Black Expo, but when I tell you each day I was exhausted because I peopled all day long because people came by my booth, they bought stuff, they took pictures, I interviewed people, I gave hugs. It was great. But by the end of the day, I was passing out. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So on Monday, when my birthday came, July 21st, part of my birthday gift was sleep. So let's be clear. Sleep is just as much of a gift as it is going on a vacation, because sometimes when we go on those vacations, we need a vacation from the vacation. So it doesn't always have to be these super expensive, extravagant things that you do to find rest or self care. It could literally be take a nap. Or if you can't go get a massage, right? Build it in your budget, right? It is a part of our budget, my husband and I's budget, where we got to do something relaxing several times a month. And if we got to start small, depending on where you balling on the budget, then start small. Take a walk. Go find a new spot where there's maybe like a trail or something where it's safe and lit, and go for a walk. Rediscover different places in your city so that you can find the free, really like healthy things to do that you might not have done because you're too busy. So that means you got to carve out time in your schedule, at least maybe once or twice a week, where you can get some vitamin C, some, get some of that sunlight in your body, and make sure that you are spending time doing something that's healthy. And that too can also change your mood. And sometimes that's why we be snapping, because we're not spending time doing self-care. We're not spending time going for a walk or getting out in the sun because we're always busy. And that's not always good. So those are things. Oh, thank you, Rodney. What's up, Rodney? So good to hear from you. Thank you for joining. Rodney says, hey, Patrice, I love your show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Keith says, vacation doesn't always mean go out of town. Facts, right? Because I'll be honest, like, we balling on a budget this year. And trust and believe, being creative about how to build space for creative outlets and also like time away. Like, even if it's like I can't go to London, but I could go downtown, if you can, I'm thinking about there's so many things in my head right now that come to mind that are just either free or inexpensive things that you can do to have self-care. And that is the one thing that I want to say to all of us, right? And I'm including me. Self-care is not selfish. Okay? Y'all say that with me. Self-care is not selfish. That is one of the biggest things that I want to communicate. If y'all don't hear me say nothing else tonight, is self-care is not selfish. Why? Because self-care is just that. It's about caring for yourself. And so often we are caring for everybody else but ourselves. And I'm guilty of it. One thing that I do want to say in light of self-care is what it is, because it's another buzzword that a lot of people use, but I want us to be clear about what self-care is and how can you do that. Because if you leave this show tonight and you go off and live your life and do whatever, I hope that you take one thing away that you will actually apply to your life now, this week. And so here's a definition of self-care so you have an idea. Self-care is the practice of actively taking steps to protect and nurture one's physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This can involve activities that reduce stress, promote relaxation, support personal growth, and create balance in life. Self-care isn't just about pampering oneself, but it is an essential part of sustaining one's overall health, preventing burnout, and improving resilience. It goes beyond luxury. It's an essential component of a balanced life. That, my friends, is what self-care is. And hopefully what you got out of that is, this is what I'm going to do. Because that's what I want all of us to walk away from tonight. What was it in that definition of self-care that you thought to yourself, I really need to implement that in my life because I don't have self-care as a part of my everyday practice? Because we really can actually build in self-care every day. But are we going to be intentional enough, or do we have to break down in order for us to realize that it's necessity, it's not a luxury, right? And trust, I've been there. That's why I'm laughing, Because literally, when I don't take on self care as an intentional part of my everyday habits, it shows. And sometimes what ends up happening is when we have these really big moments and these really big opportunities, and we're frazzled and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't think straight. I can't respond. I can't XYZ. That's because our bodies have been telling us, look, slow down, take a break. Like after this show is over, I'm vegging out and I'm going to be watching Building a Band with my husband. That's my self-care, right? Spending time with my dogs, taking them for a walk. You know, when the sun goes down a little bit more and it's not so hot outside because it's 92 degrees today. All of those things are a part of self-care and we can all take part in it, and you don't have to spend tons of money on it to do it. Isn't that great? That's good news. That should really be good news for all of us. um so let's see, we got a couple of oh, okay, what's up? Okay, so we got Dave on here. He said another song that helps him in times of, you know, struggle is Lost Without You by BB and CC Winans. It makes me appreciate my relationship with God. That is so good. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't see that. That is so good. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, these are things that we can all do. And a lot of times when we're in community like this, like you all are in community with me right now. Imagine if you had this, right? On the go. Like if you had this community that you could take with you wherever you go. And you can do that. You can definitely do that. We will be doing more of this more often because you can be a part of our membership, our Inspired Tribe membership. More of that information will be on my website when you go to www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com. With that membership, you can get therapy. You can get therapy sessions with me. You can get group therapy sessions, workshops where we talk about ways that you can continue to cultivate gratitude, growth, and healing in your life personally and professionally, as well as these, you know, where you'll get more information and more ways that you can connect and get resources to help you when you are going through. Because guess what? It's a journey, and life definitely throws a curveballs that we don't necessarily see coming. But if we had healthy ways of being proactive, of working on having healthy coping skills, having healthy ways of how we're handling our emotions, how we're creating self-care practices that are with us and that are part of us, like breathing. If we have these ways in us that we're working on intentionally every day, then it makes it easier for us to go through those things that will throw us curveballs that we don't necessarily see coming. But if we don't have any ways to work on and things to help us to grow in these areas so that we can be more proactive about how we handle it, we're going to be in trouble, right? And we already know that it's a lot going on in our country, let alone our world right now. And so we got to have some outlets and some ways of how we handle things in healthier ways than what we do. And being in community is going to help with that. So for sure. Let's see. Keith said, do something other than your normal. Yes. And also he said, have a pamper me day. Yes. And I'm definitely going to have that for me. This is part of my birthday gift. So definitely getting a massage, all those things, right? But one thing, I had a client in therapy, and one of the things that they did as a part of their self-care practice was they made sure to get a massage at least once a month, right? Where can you get a therapy, sir? Where can you get massage therapy? Look, I'm telling you, one of our sponsors, Be Well Therapeutic Massage Spa. They are locally here in Indianapolis, right on the northwest side of town, off of Michigan Road. I want to give a shout out to Whitney, who does amazing massages, amazing, right? And Black owned. Thank you so much for the work that y'all do. Shout out to Yolanda Fletcher over Be Well Therapeutic Massage Spa. Not only do they have massages, they have what's called a hydro, I think it's called a hydro waterbed. So they help with dealing with like deep tissue or acute pains and aches and things like that. They have holistic ways to help you with body aches. as well as other ways that you can, work on your physical and your mental. And I mean, I utilize them. So I say that because that's one way that you can also create your self-care routine. So definitely check them out. And if you want more information about them, go to my website, www.inspirationalpurposeservices.com, and you can learn more about what they do. So those are just a couple of things that I would say to help you create or to have a creative way of developing healing through creative healing. Again, a couple other things to think about. Listen to your body, notice your patterns, and check your energy. These are all things that will help you to have better ways of healing and developing gratitude, growth, and healing as well. Also, too, I mentioned this already, but when you're listening to your body, be aware. Are you dealing with headaches? Do you have stomach issues, restlessness? It could be more than physical. Some of this stuff could be things that you've maybe dealt with, untapped trauma from your childhood. And for you, it may feel like this is just who I am and this is how I operate, but you really might be in survival mode. And nobody wants to be in survival mode, because when you think about how your body operates in survival mode, eventually you crash. And so when you are dealing with trauma, the first thing that you want to think about is, what are the things that are coming to mind when you are dealing with your day to day? Are you constantly short with people? Are you short with yourself? Do you give yourself grace? These are the things that you need to think about when you're looking at, do I need therapy? And here's something that I want to share too before we wrap up. I want to share with you about the importance of therapy, and how do you know you need it? Because that's a question I often get asked. How do I know that therapy is right for me? This is a question that you can ask yourself. So here's a quick checklist, and this is not exhaustive, but this is just an idea to give you what you might need in order for you to decide, I do need therapy. And there's nothing wrong with it. Again, I want to say that this is safe space. Okay, so here are some signs that you might benefit from therapy. Therapy might be helpful if you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or anxious and need ways to cope. If you're struggling to set boundaries in relationships or manage conflicts. If you're having trouble processing emotions or feeling stuck in a pattern. If you are navigating a major life transition, career, relationships, or some form of a loss. If you want support to build self-esteem, self-care habits, or personal growth. Or if you're seeking clarity in your purpose, your goals, or personal values. And another one is if you want a confidential space to explore thoughts or emotions that you can't share elsewhere. Everybody's not safe. But one of the things that therapy provides is a safe space where not only is confidential, it is a place that you can not be judged on how you feel or what you feel, but you get solutions so that you can feel empowered to continue to live a healthy life that is filled with gratitude, growth, and healing. That's what therapy is and should be. And if you've maybe tried therapy before and it didn't work for you, try it again, because every therapist is not the same. I'm not the same as other therapists out there. And I know I'm not the only therapist either. So I'm not saying it like I'm the only person that you can talk to. You can talk to somebody else, but I'm giving you some free therapy service even now. But the thing that I would say is that if you know you have very specific needs and you need a space that you can unload, right? Remember, we talked about decompress, release the stress. That is what therapy helps you with. And if you are interested in getting a therapy session, and you can decide you might want to start off with 2 therapy sessions a month, or you might want to do more because you have some things that you really got to unpack and you need some more time to decompress and release the stress. You can totally do that. If you go to my website, again, it's www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com, and you can click on where it says contact us, and there you will find a therapy referral form. You click on that, fill it out, and then I will be in contact with you within the week. And the first step after you do that is look at some of the resources that I have on my website. When you go to that website and you click on shop, there are several things on there that you can actually start utilizing this week. You can get a gratitude is always in season journal. You can get one of those. You can also join our membership, so you can sign up to get one of our therapy sessions, whether if it's individual or in group therapy sessions. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can do our 6-week challenge, building with purpose, mind, body, and soul, where we're going to talk about all this stuff. But we're also going to talk about what are things that you can do with what you have, right? Looking at your nutrition, looking at your energy levels, looking at what you're eating, looking at how you're sleeping, looking at your gut health, looking at how you handle mental clarity, like finding mental clarity. How do you do that? These are the things that you'll be able to learn and to create healthier habits so that you can continue to do it for a lifetime. And you're going to start with just doing 6 weeks. This challenge starts August 5th, but we're doing a free virtual informational session next Wednesday, July 30th. So I'm going to put in the chat where you can go for that. Look at me over here trying to rhyme. But I'm going to put the actual form in here. But like I said, you can go straight to my website to find it. But I'm going to go right to the form so that you can get straight to it. Here it is. I'm putting it in this link right now. Oh. What's up, Morgan? What's up? Yo, what's up? Oh, wow. Yay. Okay, so Jakarius Johnson Entertainment is on here. My peoples, what's up? Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening in. So this right here is the link for the 6-week. So I need to name that, so my bad. So I'm going to put that in here so you know what the form is for. Okay, so I'm putting it in the chat. So if you're looking at this, this is the form to sign up for free. So there you go. Bam. So that is the form. So I put in the chat. So if you are on YouTube or if you are on Facebook, but if you go to YouTube, that's where the chat is. So you can see all that. So that's where you're going to find it. What's up, Danielle? What's up, girl? And Danielle's another artist. Look, I'm telling you, we're getting all the artists on here tonight, y'all. We are talking about creative healing. So I know all of y'all got some forms of processes of creative healing. So like, tell us, what do you do? Because all of you have a story. And if we had the time, like this is one of the things that I'm so excited about and grateful for. If we had the time for each person to tell their story about how creative healing has helped them in their hardest of times, I'm telling you, all of us will be on here crying. But like I said, the fact that we are doing it in community, this right here for me is why it is called Therapy on the Mic, because we literally are having therapy right now. But some of us I know are really needing therapy individually. And I want you to do that. I want you to do that. And so I'm going to put this in here too. So since we're on the topic and people on here, so I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to put the therapy referral form if you are interested in getting therapy. I'm going to put this in here too. So I'm putting it in the chat. So if you are interested in receiving therapy services from me, you can definitely sign up. And then I will talk to you individually about how you can get started. So there you go. I put it in the chat. There you go. Bam. So you've got 2 different forms in the chat. You've got the Building with Purpose, Mind, Body, and Soul 6-week challenge, which is talking about nutrition, mental health, and self-care, as well as gut health. Because if we're good from the inside out, I'm telling you, there's going to be a difference. And trust, I'm going to be on this challenge with y'all. So I'm not the only one. Uh, Also, like I said, this is going to be run by myself as a licensed therapist, as well as Nicole Garrett, uh, who is a certified holistic nutritionist. And her story is powerful as well. And so I'm going to have her on the show. So she's going to talk a little bit more later. But you're going to have us both, and we're going to be with you for 6 weeks. So we want you all to be a part of this. And so the free virtual informational, if you guys sign up for that, which is in the chat, we'll give you more information. We'll send you a Zoom link so that you can hear more about it. The actual free informational virtual session will be again next Wednesday, July 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So even if you're not in the state of Indiana, you can still be a part of it. So, oh, really? Today's Keith Sweat's birthday? Oh, wow. Well, happy birthday, Keith Sweat. What is that, 5 days after mine? Yeah. Yeah, happy birthday. So that's dope. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. So yeah, I just, I'm excited. Number one, thank y'all so much for coming on here. It just makes my heart feel so excited and just full, just to know that you all are chatting with me. I really appreciate that. That means the world to me. But I do want us to, get to the end of this. So I want to wrap up a couple of things as we are getting to the end. So we're talking about, again, creative healing. And so one thing I want us to take away from this is how to grow through what you go through. And so a couple of things I want you to try. First thing, practice creative release. So that could be journaling, dancing, or drawing. If you feel like you've not tried one before, try it. And don't be like, oh, I'm not good at it. Just try it. Even if you don't feel like you could dance, like, don't nobody got to see you. You could literally be in your room and just start, what is the show that I think of, or the movie, what is it, Footloose, with Tom, Lord Jesus, what is that boy's name with Mission Impossible? I was about to say Tom Hanks. It's not Tom Hanks, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That man, I'm having a brain fart right now, but do one of those things as a practice for creative release, either journaling, dancing, or drawing, or it could be painting, right? And that's another thing. Do like a sip and paint, maybe go out by yourself or go with a friend or go with a group of people and just, sip and paint, and you don't have to be perfect. It's just about your own creative release. Another thing is name your emotions. So important, y'all. When we are going through, so often we try to suppress, shove, and move on. And that is actually one of the most dangerous things that we can do when we are dealing with any form of grief or sadness or anger or whatever the case is. We have to name the emotion, even when it's hard. The third thing is take inspired action. So again, I kind of mentioned these things already, but join community. That is why this Building with Purpose 6-week challenge is so important. You got to find a way to have not only your own individual personal outlet, but you got to be in community so that way you can see the growth and you can have people to cheer you on in a way that is going to help you to continue to sustain it. So that is why being in community and doing this 6-week challenge is a great way to be able to do that. And you can, like I said before, I put it in the chat, but that's another thing that you can do. Or I have upcoming workshops that you can be a part of as well, which is coming soon. So make sure to continue to stay posted on my website so you can find out about that, or book a therapy session with me. If you realize after today's Therapy on the Mic episode that you're like, wow, I think I realize I need therapy, I'm so proud of you. First and foremost, if I can't tell you anything else, I am proud of you for acknowledging that you want to seek out help. That is the strongest thing that you can do. That doesn't mean you're weak. It actually means that you're strong because you are acknowledging that you need help and that you want the help. And so that is a huge step. And I just want to say, I'm so proud of you. See, another thing too. Oh, Kevin Bacon. No, Kevin Bacon. Oh, okay, it was Kevin Bacon. I said Footloose, and I was thinking about Tom. That was something else, and I can't think. But anyway, so it was Kevin Bacon that was doing that dancing, right? Even if you got to dance like Kevin Bacon in Footloose, that's fine, right? It doesn't matter. Um, Here's another way, some insight into how you take action. Here's the truth: healing is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. So, as I said before, take action. Book a therapy session with me. Join a group by doing the 6 week challenge or taking one of my therapy workshops, or even just sign up for, as I mentioned before, Building with Purpose 6 week challenge. And you can get more information on my website for that. But this week, as you move forward, I want you to remember to take steps forward. How? Identify what needs healing, make space for creative release, celebrate your progress, stay connected in community. And again, if you are a business or if you are just a person and you just want to support the work that we're doing and you love what the show provides for people, because I do this every Thursday. And if I'm not here on a Thursday, I'm sharing a video. So that way you continue to have resources available to help you to develop gratitude, growth, and healing. You can be a sponsor a show, sponsor a segment for one of our episodes. And we will promote you. We will shout you out. We'll do a radio commercial for you. So it'll play on Speak On It Radio as well as on all of our social media platforms with Inspired on Purpose. If you are interested in that, you can donate or you can be a sponsor. If you go to the Donate Plus Sponsor tab on my website, www.inspiredonpurposeservices.com, that is where you will find information for how to donate. And actually, I'm going to put that here in the link too, if you're interested in being a sponsor. La la la. We gotta put it all. What's up, Queen? This is amazing. Oh, thank you. I'm so excited and glad that you think this is amazing. This is why we're doing what we're doing, right? Because we all need therapy to some degree, one way, shape, or form. We all need it, right? But what better way to go through therapy than do it together? Doesn't that make sense? It does for me. Because I'm telling you, y'all help me heal when I'm going through just as much as I hope that I'm doing the same for you. So I just appreciate you all for just coming on, whether you're listening on the radio, if you're listening on the live stream through YouTube or Facebook or on our websites, wherever you're listening from, all over the world, wherever you are, I thank you. So that is I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So I'm putting in the chat too. So if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm putting in the chat if you are interested. And again, we need more opportunities and spaces like this, y'all, because there's so many people out there that are looking, especially, and I'll be honest, that are looking for a Black therapist. That is me. You can come see me, whether virtually or in person, whatever floats your boat. I am open for more clients. So if you are interested and you want to get that, let's do it. So I just put the link in there if you're interested as well in wanting to be a sponsor, as well as if you want information on how to get therapy services from me or all the above. So we are closing out with this, well, actually 2 mantras. So we talked about it before, but I'm going to say it again. This is the mantra that we started with, which is, I will build with purpose, intentionally, mindfully, creatively, and from the inside out. But here's the final mantra for tonight. I honor my story. I create space for healing, and I choose to build with purpose. This mantra is about your healing. It is about knowing that no one else knows your story like you. Make it an intentional effort to be creative, because that is a part of us finding not only our healing, but finding our voice. It is also what helps us to be intentional and what allows it to make our story ours. So with that, I hope that you all have an amazing night, an amazing rest of the week, and a great weekend ahead. And as I say before, and I'll say it again, Thank you for listening, and keep speaking on it, as Speak On It Media and Speak On It Radio always talks about, and always, as always, make room for joy. Peace, y'all. Oh, and one last thing before I go. Listen to Speak On It Radio, because that's what is about to be on right now. But you'll have to go to the website to listen to that. So, Speak On It Radio, you can go to www.thespeakerbox.com, or you can go to inspiredonpurposeservices.com and go to podcasts plus resources to get to the radio station. And you can listen to more music and be inspired on purpose. Peace, y'all. Thank y'all for joining the live. I'm just gonna sing to we go. I forgot. Yeah. Before I forget too, I was gonna say, thing. I forgot. Can I say one more thing?
You didn't give me enough time to put nothing together for you.
Oh, my bad. Well, y'all can hear me on live stream. I was gonna say this. If you haven't already, make sure that you check out thespeakerbox.com. DASPEAKABOXX.com, and you can get more information about my husband's events, Fired Up Fridays. The first one is August 8th. Make sure to check it out, and more details will be coming soon. Bye, y'all. For real.